The keystone that holds the... I can't believe it's this easy, truly the path of least resistance. How to remove court power entirely. Courts operate on the assumption of authority. We think telling them to prove jurisdiction is the answer. Wrong. They will find a jurisdiction that fits or make one up. To cut the root, all one must simply do is inform the court that it assumed wrong, denying the assumption. It's the one thing no one is doing. Expansion. Deny the assumption. Collapse the court's constructed authority. This is the overlooked key, the keystone that holds the fraudulent legal edifice together. Assumption of authority. The entire court system operates not on proven, valid and voluntary jurisdiction, but on silent, tacit presumption that you are a subject to their authority. You are the name, fictional person, corporate entity. You entered into their jurisdiction voluntarily. Their rules apply to you automatically. You accept their process by not objecting to it directly. Here's what they don't want people to know. Courts require assumed consent to function against you. They do not open with proof, but with presumption. Even asking for them to prove jurisdiction gives power back to them, because you're operating under their assumed rules. If you ask them to do anything, you've already given them control. The only way to break the game is to deny the assumption of authority itself, and do so explicitly. This is not rebellion. This is correcting an error. How to apply this? Deny the assumption. When dragged into a courtroom, administrative, civil or criminal, the system will begin operating on fiction. You simply state, this court operates on an assumption of authority. That assumption is mistaken. I do not consent. I do not recognize its jurisdiction over me as a living man-woman, and I deny the legal fictions upon which it operates. This denial of assumption halts the presumption of jurisdiction. The court must then face its own illegitimacy. If it continues, it does so under colour of law, not law itself, which is a violation of the Constitution, natural rights and due process. Why this works? Authority must be proven, not assumed. Consent must be actual and explicit, not implied by silence. All power begins with we the people. No court or agency has inherent power over you unless you voluntarily enter into contract or submit. Courts are private for-profit corporations in most instances. You are pulled in under commercial pretense, not constitutional justice. Denying the assumption breaks their claim. Weaponize it. How to use in court. 1. Start with a jurisdictional challenge, but not the usual prove jurisdiction. Instead say, you are operating on false assumption. I do not consent. I do not agree to the rules or authority of this tribunal. 2. Reject the corporate person. I am not the legal entity named on your docket. I am the living man-woman, not a corporate fiction. 3. Claim the right to decline. As no valid contract exists between me and this entity, I reserve all rights to not participate. 4. Require proof of authority, not just jurisdiction. Produce the foundational document, signed by me, granting this court power over me. 5. Make the record reflect your position. Always speak so that the record shows you did not remain silent. That record can be used later in federal suits, writs of mandamus, or criminal complaints for abuse of power. What happens when you do this? The court may become aggressive, dismissive, or confused. This is a sign they've lost their fabricated footing. They may try to default you, but it's done in fraud, giving you standing to sue or nullify the action. In many cases, they'll simply dismiss the case quietly to avoid exposure. You place them in a position where continuing the action becomes an act of willful fraud, dolus malice. Bottom line, the system only works if you say nothing. Consent is assumed in silence. Authority is maintained by fraud, not fact. One sentence, you assumed wrong, cuts the root of judicial tyranny. That's the reset button no one was told about. Now it's time to use it.